Warning. Thunder Talk contains foul language, adult subject matter, and is intended for mature audiences. Warning. Thunder Talk contains foul humor and unpopular opinions and is intended for immature audiences. Warning. No one should be listening to Thunder Talk.
Hello, Mudgoats. Welcome to Thunder Talk, the podcast that asks the question, what does God need with a starship when he has a Bifrost? I'm your host, Sexy Thor, and today we're talking all things Titans with the new live-action show and Teen Titans Go to the movies. We talk contract holdouts and why it's so rampant in the NFL right now. The Jedi Master and Commander of the NERDBLISS podcast, Chris Jones, joins us in Studio D, and we explore the genesis of our pod universe. Missy also drops by to hang and showcase an artist she's working with at Fortuneteller Entertainment. And of course, we can't leave you without a What Would Thor Do in Dan's Bad Advice column. We just can't. Lightning Lad, roll the thunder.
From the smoking section of the NERDBLISS podcast, the Weirdos Workshop presents Thunder Talk. Sexy Thor and Lightning. Thunder Talk. So keeping with Thunder Talk canon and keeping this a comic book show, I think loosely speaking, it's fucking comic books, okay? And we do comic books.
We connect everything, comic books.
Everything connects to comic books. We're going to talk about Teen Titans.
Yeah, DC came out with a new movie in theaters recently, didn't they?
It's a cartoon, right?
Yeah.
It's Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, the super kiddie version.
There's also a trailer that dropped for live action. We're going to get into that in a moment. The Teen Titans Go movie. My kids and I watch it. I've liked it. I've enjoyed it. Over on NERDBLISS, we had a guest on the other week. I think she was 13 years old, and she summed up Teen Titans by it's a bunch of fart jokes.
I did hear that.
And that's all she had to say on it, like, boom, mic drop. It's a bunch of fart jokes. And this is coming from the 13-year-old.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm in conflict because my
12-year-old
and 6-year-old kid and I have derived joy from Teen Titans Go. But at the same time, if a 13-year-old is like, I'm kind of inclined to take her position on that.
So you can continue to be hip with the kids.
I just want to be liked, okay? I just want this new group to like me. Ugh.
I used to watch the Teen Titans, the first cartoon that came out.
Okay, no, I'm very familiar with that.
There is a certain hint of them in the mid-credits scene, and it concerns the original Teen Titans. But anyway, there was some humor that was just kind of with me, but overall I thought it was a very cute movie, and I liked all the little references and Easter eggs I could spot in there. Just like a whole bunch of fan service thrown at you, like just with the Lego Batman movie, when you recognize little Lego figures of all of his big villains to all of his small villains.
I was going to say the same thing. Teen Titans Go is kind of a sandbox that DC has to poke fun of itself.
Teen Titans Go to the movies. Because if Aquaman can get a movie, anyone can.
There was an ad for Teen Titans Go, the movie. Is that the name, by the way? Teen Titans Go, the movie?
Teen Titans Go to the movies.
There was I guess you call it an ad or a trailer that dropped. And there's an entire back and forth between the Teen Titans and the guy who looks like Deadpool, but also the Will Smith's character, but isn't either of those.
Deathstroke and Will Smith is Deadshot.
Yeah. So there's a scene. They released a scene prior to the movie's release. It's the Teen Titans talking to, what's his name again?
Deathstroke.
Okay, Deathstroke. And they're like, hey, you're Deadpool. And Deathstroke's like, no, I'm Deathstroke. He's like, no, you're irreverent. Go ahead and look at the camera and say something witty and break the fourth wall.
Look at the camera and say something inappropriate.
Stop right there. Deadpool?
Deadpool? What? I'm not Deadpool.
I thought Deadpool was a good guy.
Why does everybody think I'm Deadpool?
You got them guns.
And the swords.
Yeah, well, lots of people have guns and swords, okay?
Nah, I'm pretty sure you're Deadpool. Look into the camera and say something inappropriate.
Yeah, so
but I definitely can't knock anything that has Tara Strong and Kari Payton in it. Kari Payton plays Cyborg. He's also King Ezekiel on The Walking Dead. He's a funny-ass dude. So I'll never knock something those two are in.
You know, one day you hope to be at some kind of fancy Hollywood function, some kind of like after party. next to the punch bowl. It's like, oh, hey, you're Tara Strong. And Tara Strong is like, oh, hey, you're sexy Thor. And you're like, yeah, I am. And she'd be like, yeah, right on. And you'd be like, cool. And she'd be like, yeah. And there'd be silence. And then she'd be like, I like your show. And you're like, what? She's like, no, for real. I totally follow all that. And you're like, no. She's like, yes. And you're like, well, I mean, I wanted to say I'm a fan of everything that you do, but I figured that everybody already says that to you because, I mean, Jesus, you're Tara Strong. She's like, I'm not as popular as you may think. And you're like, no, you're as, it's like it goes, super, super famous person. And then Tara Strong and then others, you're like an A-list. And she's like, you're sweet, but I'm a real person. I'm a real person too. And you're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You want to get a drink or coffee or just kind of just go stand in the same general area? Would you like to go loiter outside of an Arby's with me? And she would giggle because that's such a charming thing to say. And she'd be like, yeah, sexy Thor. I think I would like to go loiter in front of an Arby's with you. Do you mind if I smoke? And you're like, holy shit. Yeah, but no, I'll start again anyway.
Do you know what makes a real hero? It's not the costumes, the gadgets, the cool powers. It's having your own movie.
And, tune in next week.
And that's how Sexy Thor married Harley Quinn. That's my new headcanon now.
Teen Titans. Teen Titans.
Across the rainbow bridge of Azgard, where the booming heavens soar, you'll behold in breathless wonder the god of thunder, mighty Thor.
We got an email from one of the faithful out there in the podcast listening world.
Oh, yeah.
Boss.
We got a letter.
And it's directed to you.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to say I'm feeling left out, but, Lightning Lad, I'm here too. But anyway, it's from listener, goes by the name of Not Sexy Thor.
Ah.
Yeah.
How do you do, Not? Shout out to Not.
Have you ever met Not Sexy Thor? Sexy Thor?
No, but I hear he's a hardcore listener.
Yeah. So do I. Okay. All right. So.
And a hardcore listener only.
And he's got like a hot swimmer's bod, right?
The hottest.
So, Not Sexy Thor would like to know, how does Sexy Thor quit smoking? I'm not asking for myself because I'm not Sexy Thor. And Sexy Thor doesn't smoke either. I don't know how this email works. Did I just type that?
Daryl here is helping me craft an electronic letter.
Anyway, how does Sexy Thor quit smoking? Asking for a friend, huh?
Well, if I was continuing to try to not quit smoking, which I'm not because I never started, I would stop by going cold Bilgesnipe.
Bilgesnipe? Huge, scaly, big antlers. You don't have those?
Don't think so.
They are repulsive.
Cold Bilgesnipe.
Yes, using the willpower born into every Asgardian and every Midgardian, if they get their own movie long enough, to find it in themselves to have the willpower of Asgard to go cold Bilgesnipe against thine nicotine and tobacco products.
Well, they say it's more addictive than heroin. I'm not going to say that Thor had a heroin problem back in the 80s. Okay, and it was for his back. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to spread that rumor.
You might be referring to the 6 Nickies, or you might not. All 6 of them had a heroin problem.
Cold Bilgesnipe. Say that 5 times fast.
Cold Bilgesnipe, cold Bilgesnipe, cold Bilgesnipe, cold Bilgesnipe, cold Bilgesnipe.
That's the man that signs my checks. Boom. If Micro Machines is looking for a new spokesperson, I'm just saying.
Disclaimer, the Thunder Challenge may not be suitable for regular mortals.
So go all cold Bilgesnipe on that smoking addiction. Okay, check.
And, this knocks out 2 birds with 1 stone, because I hear if you go cold Bilgesnipe with, getting nicotine out of your system, you get flare-ups of anxiety, mood changes, faster heartbeat. So it's like being on the stimulants that tempt you so, but you don't have to use it to experience it. It's just part of your withdrawals from nicotine.
So what you're saying is, like, after an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours of just a shit job for shit wages in a shit world, and all you've got is your smoke break, I'm supposed to go out behind the dumpster and, light up some cold Bilgesnipe? What kind of advice is
Breathe
that?
air.
Oh, I mean, it isn't all Bilgesnipe. I'm sorry. I'm also trying to quit. I'm a little edgy right now. Lightning Lad, always on edge.
Put that pipe down, kids. Let's get high on anxiety.
Fuck you thinking you're going to smoke your way out of this whole being alive shit. No.
You're going to cope with the human experience some way sober. Can't be high all the time.
You wrote this email, didn't you?
Lightning Lad, I told you to stay out of my diary. I'm telling Allfather.
It's either that or look at porn all day. Okay, I'm just going to say it.
I guess you've eaten thine Midgard serpent to the pulp with your intercourse addictions.
When you look at our insurance plan, if you wouldn't mind browsing through that part of the handbook and see if Asgardian porn addiction is covered under under our plan here.
Just go cold Bilgesnipe.
I put cold Bilgesnipe on my privates, and I didn't pee right for a week. So I went to the doctor and was like, "Yeah, I got a Bilgesnipe tract infection." Cranberries. They said you get cranberries in pill form now.
If you've dealt with the frustration of a UTI, you may already know cranberry can help you protect and maintain a healthy urinary tract.
Yeah, heroes don't smoke, do they?
No, they don't. They have to run around and punch things all day, every day. I mean,
cigarettes are for the weak.
Go cold Bilgesnipe. Side effects may include meat sweats.
Side effects may include meat sweats. I think we're good, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a smoke, I think.
Why should I listen to the NERDBLISS podcast?
Because we go there.
Where?
Everywhere.
Human sexuality.
They don't care what's in your pants. They love you anyway.
Time travelers.
The problem is time will back with you.
Politics and fandom.
What Star Wars has been prior to Disney. It is a white male-driven universe.
Find us at nerdblisspodcast.com.
And on social media at NERDBLISSPod. Part of this complete breakfast and the ESO network.
The NERDBLISS Podcast.
Listen!
Real white that black. Real white that black. Real white that black. Real white that black. Real white that black.
83. We're talking about football right now. A lot of holdouts.
Oh yeah, a lot of people that either want completely new deals, either for more years and or more money.
Like who?
Well, there was a thing that ended just in time for training camp between Julio Jones and the Falcons organization.
Oh, you love your Falcons, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I ride for my Falcons like Lightning Lad rides for the Tigers and Panthers.
Welcome to Atlanta, where the Falcons play, and we rise in brotherhood like every day.
Julio, pretty much, he had 3 years on his deal left, I believe, either 2 or 3. Pretty sure it was 3 years left.
Right.
And at the time when he had gotten this contract extension back in, I want to say more 2015.
Okay.
At that point, it had made him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. Since then, other receivers have gotten new contracts, really getting that latest top receiver pay, including 2 that definitely don't deserve over Julio Jones. One of them being Sammy Watkins.
Really?
You remember Sammy, don't you?
Sure.
Yeah.
You're saying he's less deserving of a revised contract than Julio Jones?
Yeah, just with injuries have mostly injured or hampered his production. But
okay.
But Julio is just like in a whole other league altogether. It's pretty much.
He's the lead in the holdout story right now.
And also Jarvis Landry, who's previously a pretty good possession receiver for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, that guy was a surefire way to get a whole lot of fantasy points in your league if you did the PPR leagues.
Right.
But he was getting like $17 million a year, and
so that $17 million a year translated in how much bar bucks I got with my fantasy league.
Exactly. All that redeeming at Hooters is equal to a Jarvis Landry contract.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Next episode, your fantasy football league and how much is it worth in hot wings?
Can't wait for that episode. I've been a fantasy football player since 2011.
Fantasy football isn't even real. I'm like, what? That thing with fantasy in the title? Like, yeah, I get it. I don't watch Harry Potter like it's a fucking documentary. Yeah?
So Jarvis Landry got a big old contract, much more than Julio Jones from the Cleveland Browns this past offseason. So Julio's like, hey, wait a second. We need to update this contract a little bit. I'm not asking for, more years and such, but just pay me as if I'm still the best receiver in the NFL. And the Falcons were like, not right now. We'll deal with it next offseason.
Well, that kind of leads me to a question. In terms of Jones's contract, which they have revised. It's been revised. Looks like they found an extra $2.7 million to throw into Jones's contract. How does the organization throwing an extra $2.7 million at Jones affect the cap?
Well, they took it from the pay that he was going to receive in the following years of his current contract.
Okay.
So they just went and took that, pretty much gave him in advance.
Was it an actual advance, or did they pull it from there and then they'll run the numbers on that next year?
Yeah, like they gave it to him now, and with the promise that they'll give him a rework deal next offseason, and he'll get the money that he wants.
Okay. How much time do they have?
Preseason's just about started, so they really don't need to worry about that till at least March.
Okay.
Because the Super Bowl is in early February, and
so they
the
put it off.
Off-season happens around March, April.
Am I wrong, or does it sound like they put a Band-Aid on it?
Yeah, with the promise to, cure the ailment later.
So that's how they're keeping Jones.
Yep, he showed up to the first day of training camp, and it's going to be something else.
Long bomb touchdown, Julio!
What about these other holdouts? What do you see? And do you see this as a trend?
Oh, yeah, because right now, Aaron Donald, the star defensive tackle of the Los Angeles Rams, he's holding out.
Okay.
He wants a new deal, and
the LA Rams.
Khalil Mack, the defensive end for the Oakland Raiders, he's just as much a star on that team as Donald is on the Rams. And he wants a new contract, and pretty much the Rams and Raiders are telling those players, yeah, we're not even going to meet you halfway. We'll do it next year. And Odell Beckham Jr. is still getting money from his rookie deal, which makes him also incredibly underpaid for as prolific a wide receiver as he is, because he's easily in the top 3 discussion with Jones.
A lot of Band-Aids going out in the NFL right now.
You hear about this in the NBA sometimes, but it's really not as much to where I could remember and shoot off all these specific examples like I am with the NFL and with the MLB with their no salary cap, I imagine. That makes preventing holdouts really easy.
In the NBA, of course, they also have a salary cap, which I think Major League Baseball should have.
And the NBA also has fully guaranteed contracts, which the NFL only has like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, see, that's it. It's pretty much cut and dry with the NBA. If there's going to be any drama and controversy about who's going where, either it's an opt-out or generally free agent situation.
With the exception of, this past offseason with the weirdness, that was the Kawhi trade.
Oh, well, that was, you all go back and listen to issue 2 if you want to know what's up with Leonard and DeRozan.
In some situations, with some organizations, holdouts can work, but in other situations, they're just going to be like, nope, we'll just get this next man on there. You're not going to show up, well, you're just going to find a shitload of money because training camp and mini camp is mandatory. I can't really tell them what to do with their lives because, quite frankly, with them, it's about financial security and job security. So I can't really say just have them all on 1-year prove-it deals because like nobody should have to live with that sort of jump to jump to jump.
What happens?
And that's the flip side of the coin of saying, just go in, do work, ball out, and somebody will gladly pay you.
Right.
The organization you're with, some other team might want you more. If you're Julio Jones, everybody wants you more.
Everyone wants a piece of Julio Jones.
But he wants to stay a Falcon for life, so it shall be done.
So Odin commands.
Welcome.
One ring to rule, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. Yes, Sue!
You don't have what they call the social skills.
Find that remark insulting.
Good. All right, we've got a special guest with us here today in studio. He's a very dear friend to the show. He's the co-host of his own podcast. In fact, he is the head honcho of the podcast. the Jedi Master and Commander, who both got Sexy Thor and Lightning Lad on their paths. Why don't you tell us who it is, Lightning Lad?
We are privileged to have our dear friend, the Master and Commander, over at the NERDBLISS podcast, and Chris Jones.
Hello.
How's it going, dude?
Going well. Glad to be here.
Hey.
Glad to be here on Thunder Talk.
So Chris Jones has a podcast called the NERDBLISS Podcast, which I'm a co-host of. I've said it a million times. If you're not listening to the NERDBLISS, you're probably an asshole.
You're probably also in the majority. But, hey, listen, if you want to listen, I would love it.
Chris was the spark that led to the fire that was going to lead to Thunder Talk, burning down this whole podcast business. NERDBLISS Thunder Talk. I'm sure you've seen the graffiti already. Our street team is in full effect. What got you into podcasting?
A couple different things. I have aspired to do voiceover for a long time, and like most people who aspire to do voiceover, I've dragged my feet about actually doing the work to get into voiceover, and it's scary, and I always knew that I wanted to do something to further that ambition. The idea for a podcast was actually suggested to us by my voiceover coaches, Bob and September Carter, and it was kind of a planetary alignment kind of thing. The idea to do a podcast was up there. My sticking point was, what am I going to talk about? I mean, what's the joke? There are more podcasts than there are people that listen to them. Who's going to listen to me? What am I going to talk about?
Your podcast will fail.
What? Hey, fuck you, man.
No. Fuck you.
That's a legitimate fear. Anybody who thinks they're going to sit in front of a microphone and upload it to the internets and think that people are going to give a shit, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, isn't it?
It's very terrifying.
I'm terrified. Sexy Thor, are you terrified? You're not terrified. You're not terrified of anything.
I am terrified of everything, but I still do it. That's true courage.
That's true courage right there. That's one to grow on, kids. Right there. That's a hero.
That's right.
That's
a
hero
good one. It's
right
a good
there.
One. Steadfastness in the face of fear.
It'll kill you. Only if I die.
Well, you want to see if people like your voice?
Right.
Give it to
or
them.
just to
give it to them.
Yeah, to develop a mic presence.
Right.
To be used to recording my voice, hearing my recorded voice, learning the technical side of it. I'm sure some people in this room can identify with.
Holy shit. The technical side of it? That's not for the show. Okay. My process in terms of the technical aspect of all of this.
That's for the bonus features.
That's for my therapist. That's what that's for. Yeah. And then Patreon down the road, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
This is madness.
There was a second reason that you got into all of this.
That's right.
Sexy Thor, you were just talking about heroes. Real heroism is when you're scared, but you do it anyway.
Exactly.
Mind if I go deep?
Not at all. Go ahead.
When I first met you and you first invited me along to do all of this, you told me that there was a time when you were very self-conscious about yourself, how you came off in public, how you spoke to other people, having this idea in your head of what you should be versus what you feel yourself actually to be publicly.
Right.
The anxieties, the fear, the insecurities that came from that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and I can't speak for anyone but myself, whereas a lot of people would see that in themselves and shrink from it. You decided, fuck that. I'm going to start a goddamn podcast. Right?
Yes.
I'm going to put myself out there.
Yes.
I'm going to get naked and I'm just going to jump in. And y'all can come to me. Y'all can come to me, right?
The social anxiety equivalent of the greased up deaf guy. Yes.
You're wasting your time. Forget about it. Go do something else.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going to laugh. I'm going to laugh anyway.
Somebody will get it.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
Yes, I'm greased up, and yes, I'm deaf. But what else am I?
Sexy Thor, you know the story. What? Give us those feels. Throw some feels at Chris.
Some feels, some testimonial.
Do everything you can to shamelessly connect us to this beautiful story.
By last Halloween, I'd already been listening to podcasts for 6 months, and I was like, okay, they're cool, they're entertaining and all that. And then they did Intoxicast 2.0, 3.0 at the Moser Halloween party. And
the Moser Halloween party was Intoxicast 2.5.
Okay, so I was like on either side of that. I was pretty close. But anyway, while me in my sexy Thor costume,
my walking around clothes,
my true wardrobe, they had me sit down, and while everybody else, just sat on a mic, talked for a little bit, and left, pretty much, me and, of course, our esteemed host, JT Wheatley of the History of Comic Books podcast, pretty much just sat there literally the whole time and just talked on this. And I was just like, this is actually really fucking awesome. And then they invited me back for an official NERDBLISS episode, and I was just like, this is still awesome, even sober. And then eventually I met Lightning Lad during my second, third, fourth time being on NERDBLISS.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then it all rough and tumbled and shot its way into Thunder Talk.
There's no Thunder Talk without Chris Jones. I would even Wheatley, you can fight me about it. I don't think there would be History of Comic Books without NERDBLISS.
You're very, very, very kind.
How do you feel about that, Dad? Huh? Fucking Dad's in the studio, up in Studio D today. Did everybody look nice? Put on those clip-on ties I gave you. How do you feel about that? How does it make you feel that all of your people, you've inspired everyone to go out and start doing this? What y'all are listening to right now.
It is very, very humbling. I honestly didn't think that I could inspire anybody. So when somebody tells me, oh, you were the inspiration for all this, I struggle to believe it. But, you guys are doing great. Wheatley's doing great. And I'm glad that I was a part of it in some way. When I started NERDBLISS, I did it with zero expectation that anybody would listen, that anybody would care. And if I'm going to be completely frank, if you're going to start a podcast, you really need to start with that mindset.
Yeah.
If it becomes something, then great. But, well, you guys, you know what I'm talking about.
We know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about. We're just trying to let the audience know. we thank you, because if you're listening to this,
we really thank you. I'll thank you for them and for me.
Sexy Thor also says thank you. Chris starting NERDBLISS podcast is like super soldier program that started Captain America. It branched out into all this other stuff and people creating all these other things. And
Chris Jones, the first Avenger.
So this
Sexy Thor and Lightning Lad
was trying to replicate the serum they used on
Chris Jones.
A lot of people were.
Chris Jones was
the world's first superhero.
Sexy Thor and Lightning Lad
Thought gamma radiation might hold the key to unlocking
the NERDBLISS's
the original formula.
Didn't really go
Sexy Thor and Lightning Lads
way, did it?
Not so much.
Tell us about the NERDBLISS. I mean, again, I'm on the show, guys. If you want more of this sweet, sweet Dan, you just flip on over to NERDBLISS. That's I'll be playing. I'll be playing there all night.
And I pop up every now and then so you can get even more Sexy Thor.
If you really want two times the Dan.
Oh my God! Yeah,
and two times the Sexy Thor. Then listen to both.
Tell us, what is thy NERDBLISS about?
Obviously, we talk about nerd stuff. So what makes us different? Well, most everybody has a passion about something.
Right.
I mean, we've all run into that person who could tell you about every model of such and such, I don't know, Ford Mustang, tell you every kind of engine it had, every kind of transmission it had, every kind of steering it ever had, from year to year to year.
Right.
These people know their shit.
Right.
And there's always an interesting story in there. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a passion.
Everybody has a passion.
We like to find those people and have them tell us about their passion so that we can learn about it, so that everybody else can learn about it, and so that people can see a side of that passion that maybe they wouldn't have thought about before. Dan, you were there when we had Frankie Dusky of Happy Vagabonds Farms.
Yeah. She's a goat milk farmer.
Yeah, you're not going to hear about, dairy goat farmers on your typical nerd podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
but that was a fun episode, was it not?
You turn over to some of those other podcasts here, and you'll hear about let's do a really deep breakdown on the Tholian Assembly, or Thrawn's connection to the Chiss Ascendancy. For all you deep cut motherfuckers out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't pretend you don't. NERDBLISS, you're gonna get real life because we also speak human. Yeah, we'll yell at you in Klingon, but we also speak human. And it's that human story, and it's that human element. We go human emotion. What are you a nerd about? I love it.
And sometimes the two paths cross. We had Eric L. Watts on the show. When I say a Star Trek, almost committed heresy.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise.
The Emperor has been expecting you.
A Star Trek fan from back in the day, from back when conventions were first starting, back when they were creating fanzines on mimeograph machines.
Oh, totally.
Google that.
Totally. Yeah. Hope we got a book of stamps ready.
He was the Star Trek programming director at Dragon Con for 19 years before he left to do his own convention, what started out as Trek Tracks Atlanta, what is now Treklanta.
Oh, dude. Trek Tracks Atlanta. I really wish they kept that. Trek Tracks, pew, Atlanta.
Trek Tracks, Atlanta.
Eric, you can probably use that for free if you're listening.
Well,
Thunder Talk.
What's the phone number? What's the NERDBLISS phone number that where Thunder Talk is also using?
864-715-9446.
That's how we'll talk.
That reminds me, I have an invoice for you guys. No, just kidding. But yeah, Star Trek fan all his life, now runs his own Star Trek convention. This man has stories upon stories upon stories, not just about Star Trek, but about Star Trek fandom, about people that are in the fandom. So yeah, we like to talk to people who can go deep about whatever they go deep about. We mentioned my voiceover coaches, Bob and September Carter. They can tell you everything there is about the voiceover business, and they were gracious enough to do an episode for us. We mentioned Frankie Dusky. I mean, you would think, why the fuck would I want to listen about a dairy goat farm? That's what we're here to we're here to make you understand. There are things that are interesting and fun and about everything. And so that's kind of the tack we try to take, and it's worked well for us so far. And who knows where the show will go? But right now, that's what we focus on.
4'1" Media presents the NERDBLISS podcast.
The undying, holy, galactic empire of the NERDBLISS.
Please listen. We'd love to have you and hear from you.
NERDBLISS from the realm of Nerdgard. Thunder Talk exclusive.
Missy's international. Missy's going everywhere. And Missy is with Fortuneteller Entertainment, and she is here to drop some of that new hot on us. Missy, tell us about who we're going to be listening to tonight.
Tonight, we got Fortuneteller Entertainment's very own Chris Angel coming at you with that fire. His single is called Wait, and you could definitely download that on the SoundCloud.
Right on. Chris Angel, tell us a little bit about Chris Angel. How do you come to know him? What's he all about?
Chris Angel, he's a native from Asheville, North Carolina. Grind very hard, true to his music. Went to school with my brother, and he's just been a close friend of the family for a while.
Right on. What's that track one more time?
Wait
by Chris Angel. Coming at y'all now.
I like, wait, hold up, where you going? Let's roll up. Fifth into the morning, the fire is marijuana. Smoking while I'm choking, you gotta come try this doja. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm that midnight toker. Like, wait, hold up, where you going? Let's roll up. Fifth into the morning, the fire is marijuana. Smoking till I'm choking, you gotta come try this doja. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. Like, wait, OZ, liquid from Ed Cody, floating in a vortex with no one knowing. Rolling 2 or 3 beans, I wasn't rolling. Cloning every plant that we see growing. Profit coming up off the green if you acknowledge. Pockets, the deeper they are, the more they copping. Piglets all in the streets and they trying to stop it. Deposits are in their account if they ace the project. No means to ride yet, cause I'm not high yet. Like fighter pilots, I wanna burn quick like deadly riots. Don't falsify it. Puffing a magic green for mental guidance and defiance. Ain't rocket science, even though I act reliant. Could give up any moment, just haven't tried yet. Let's change the climate, the world and format. The weed is for the people. You with that or you against that? Matter of fact, don't even want your opinion on the subject. Smoke that grass with me. Hit that glass with me. Come on. Smoke that grass with me. Hit that glass with me. Together now. Smoke that grass with me. Hit that glass with me. Everybody. Smoke that grass with me. Hit that glass with me. Hey, I like, wait. hold up, where you going? Let's roll up. Fifth into the morning, the fire is marijuana. Smoking while I'm choking, you gotta come try this doja. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm that midnight toker. Like, wait, hold up, where you going? Let's roll up. Fifth into the morning, the fire is marijuana. Smoking till I'm choking, you gotta come try this doja. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. Like, wait. My weed's strong, it might knock you out. We can roll up in my whip and we can box it out, toss it out, air it out, them cops is out. I'm on cloud 9, can't nobody stop me now. I'm too deep in this shit, I ain't stopping, pal. Put my career in jeopardy, I'm Alex Trebek. Chris is twisting up a swisher, we gon' take it to the neck. We playing shows to T-Mos, I'm like, where's my check? I work a 9 to 5, that give me the right to flex. I'm about to roll another joint, I ain't got no stress. And when I cough, I'm just getting everything off my chest. It's all good in the wood, we only smoking the best. I'm like, wait, hold up, leave me alone, let me roll up. Don't blow my high, cause I've been smoking on that doja. Smell the marijuana odor on my clothes, yeah, you know it. If Party Mike is rolling, then you smoking on some potent. Smoke that grass with me, hit that blast with me. Come on, come on. Smoke that grass with me, hit that blast with me. Together now. Smoke that grass with me, hit that blast with me. Everybody smoke that grass with me.
This is a 30-second ad spot for the Black Market Toast podcast, where we take a piece of media out of the cupboard, dust it off, toast it up, and serve it as something completely new.
What?
Well, it means we either listen to or watch a movie or TV show or piece of music, and then...
It's not like we just use whatever media we pick as a conversation starter.
Well, because it's fun, okay? Listen to it on your podcatcher of choice, and follow us on Facebook or something.
There is a live-action Titans television series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it's going to be on the DC Universe streaming network that's coming next year, 2019. Okay. And that's going to have original shows like Titans, Swamp Thing, Doom Patrol, the Harley Quinn animated series that I'm stoked for.
Crazy.
And then they're going to have old DC shows like the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, wow. Kind of a one-stop shop
old
for DC stuff
that's there. And then, of course, there's the digital comic library. You know, some people are feeling the $7.99 a month price thing, and some people are not.
Not happy about having to pay money. Well, I mean, Jesus Christ. I want some of that sweet new Star Trek Discovery, yet I have to give CBS anywhere between $6 to $10 a month. And then it's like, hey, well, you give us $10, we'll give you Star Trek, but you can also have like NCIS. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can sit around and watch grandma TV because only old people. And Jag, Jesus Christ. And CBS is for old people, okay? Star Trek Discovery and then old people.
Are you ready to have your Star Trek fandom preyed upon? Are you ready to pay extra for what the rest of the world gets with a basic Netflix subscription? CBS All Access. For $6.99 per month, you'll not only get Star Trek Discovery, you'll have limited access to only a handful of episodes from our shitty programs. With commercials. Is Law & Order too smart for you? Then you'll love NCIS. Is NCIS too smart for you? Then you'll love JAG. Laugh at then lazy nerd quotes and sexual harassment with Big Bang Theory. Remember, you're not really paying for Star Trek. You're paying for tired network programming. CBS All Access. Fuck you.
Titans, the promo, the trailer they launched for the television series Titans, that's going to be mature audiences, isn't it? Fuck Batman.
Very much so.
Fuck Batman. Who says that? Who said fuck Batman in the new Titans trailer?
Richard Dick Robin Grayson.
Richard Dick Robin Grayson. Yeah.
OG Robin.
Where's Batman?
Fuck Batman. Fuck Batman. Criminals are getting pretty much killed.
What kind of Titans is this going to be?
DC just has an obsession with the dark and gritty that blame does not fall squarely on the shoulders of Zack Snyder. It's because they made so much bank and had the most success since the Keaton Batmans and the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies. And they wanted to do more of those movies, but Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale were like, no, we're really done with this shit.
DC.
So they put the Nolan playbook in Zack Snyder's hands. Say, okay, yeah, just follow this. And then it went... I mean, I'll still watch it because eventually we got to do an episode about it.
Yeah, we're doing it right now. They're helping us pay our bills, so it all works out.
I mean, I'm not opposed to, dark movies as opposed to light movies. I mean,
Right.
I can appreciate both. My thing is that going back with the history is Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy did so well because that was fresh from the two jokes of movies Schumacher made in
Totally.
the late 90s. It seems like it's jumped time and again from the flavor of, all lighthearted and silly to the dark, serious, realistic I'm Batman stuff. And right now we're having a harder transition than usual in switching over to the era of, lighthearted Batman.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Now, there has been some buzz, and this is all conjectural, trolling, fan hate, I'm sure. There are people saying who have seen the Shazam trailer that in terms of the tone, in terms of the humor, it's a betrayal of the kind of grittiness that DC has certainly set full sail with. There's some fans going, wait, what is this? You're going to start making joke movies now? You're going to start making joke movies in a world where Batman straight up kills motherfuckers and Superman does the same thing? And on the flip side, we're going to do the Teen Titans, but we're going to make them dark. Over here on the TV tip, and we're going to be dropping superhero Shazam clown up into this dark-ass DCEU.
But they've got such a sort of microscope on them that they're getting that said to them. But, nobody's going to Marvel and being like, oh, you got Guardians of the Galaxy in the movie universe and Jessica Jones down here in the Netflix universe.
Okay, that's fair. Until the last 3 words you said, I was all prepared with a response.
Yeah,
but I don't need to because you're right.
Because Jessica Jones and Guardians takes place in the same cinematic universe too. Titans is in a separate universe than the DC movies.
Yeah, it's all discombobulated.
Precisely, Robin. You mean... Precisely, Robin. Precisely. Precisely, Robin.
Go check out the Titans trailer for yourself. Tell us on email us because we mess with email. That's sexythorstthundertalk@gmail.com. What kind of take do you have on the trailer? Call us at the NERDBLISS Thunder Talk answering service 864-715-9446. Any last thoughts on that, Sexy Thor?
Looks like the Teen Titans are having some sort of comeback in one show or another, with the Go part being of the movie and this new Titans show. Dark, grittier, more violent, lots of swears.
Swears.
Just another interesting little factor in the whole comic book everything world.
In the comic book everything world.
That's the only world Thunder Talk recognizes.
Yes. Damn your laws of physics. Damn your flat earth. Damn your round earth. Comic books. That's my world.
Couldn't have said it better myself, chap.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcons' physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
It's Dan's Bad Advice column. Fuck yeah. Dear Dan, Charlotte and I have been friends for 16 years, ever since we met in college. She lives several states away, so we see each other only once a year when she and her family come to town for a long weekend. Beyond this annual get-together, we never chat on the phone, and communication is pretty much limited to social media. I have known Charlotte's now husband for 16 years as well, and never cared for him. When they became engaged, none of our friends thought she would actually marry him. He seems to get worse every time I see him, and it has reached the point that I can barely stand to be in the same room with him. Unfortunately, Charlotte's kids take after their dad. They are spoiled, nasty, mean children and a bad influence on my young son. Charlotte and her family were in town for their annual visit recently. Afterward, I told my husband I didn't enjoy it and dread the next one. Charlotte's husband has now suggested they tag along on our next family vacation. Dan, it would ruin our trip. I don't want to go on vacation if they come with us. Charlotte is still as sweet and lovely as ever, but I do not want to see her husband or children again. What should I do? Hanging on for now.
Hanging on for now. It sounds like your friend Charlotte's husband is an asshole. I can relate. My wife's husband is an asshole. Just ask my in-laws. What can I say? Fight fire with fire. That's my motto. Why let a bad situation remain bad when you can always make it worse? Get political with the man. If he's a conservative, remind him that Trump sustains himself on a strict diet of immigrant children tears and Russian hooker piss. If he's a liberal, say that all those immigrant tears and hooker piss, along with school shootings, open racism, and a celebration of toxic masculinity, is all part of God's plan to make America great again. Just take a diametrically opposed view to whatever he believes. Jesus died for our sins. No, actually, we're all just born to die, and life has no meaning. Or vice versa. You say your friend's children are a bad influence on your son. Again, you can top that. If her kids are teaching yours foul language, have your kid teach hers how to smoke. If her kids influence yours to talk back and sass their elders, have your kid introduce hers to the wonders of shoplifting. Now, I know your instinct would be to say, but they're only children. If you're going to assert your sense of self-importance over your friend's family, then you need to recognize war is hell. What about the children? What about them? Yeah, their kids are messing with your kid. Boxing gloves come off. You're saying now Mr. Friend's husband wants to go on vacation with you. Yeah, okay, sure, totally. Tell them that you're going to meet them down in Florida and then go to Hawaii. Tell them that the reservation is already set. All they need to do is cash you out on that. Just go ahead and fly out there and meet you there. Tell them that you'll meet him at Disneyland or Disney World and then go to Universal. Frankly, I would send them to Universal. I'd like Disney World a lot better. But you get the idea. I remember a story one time. This is my astronomy teacher, actually. In high school, said that he had a friend. He had two friends. One owed the other friend a whole lot of money. This was back in 1972. And this guy wasn't going to pay him back. It just wasn't going to happen. So after about a year of non-communication, the friend who was owed the money called the friend who owed him the money and said, dude, I'm running a limo service in Honolulu, and you just need to get out here. You get that plane ticket, you get out to Honolulu, and there's a job waiting for you. And no, the motherfucker was calling from like 2 blocks around the corner. So homeboy, went and dropped all of his ducats, got on a plane, got to Hawaii, no job, no friend, ha. He had no money to get back. And I guess he just ended up eating acid and wandering Wainimi Bay or something like that for a few years. I don't know where I'm going with that. Oh my gosh. Or be like, hey, your husband was hitting on me. Get your husband to beat up her husband. There's all kinds of ways you can go with that. Get Charlotte to leave her husband. Then you got Charlotte all to yourself. Okay, here's what you do. You drug the shitty friend husband, get him all doped up while she's asleep, and then your husband, assuming he's into this kind of shit, can take pictures of you all over him that will end up in her inbox. Boom. Oh, no, wait, it can't be you. Get somebody. I'm sure there's somebody out there. Craigslist? You know what? Actually, honestly, for at the $75 a month Patreon level here on Thunder Talk, Sexy Thor will be more than happy to go ahead and take pictures of me, Lightning Lad, writhing all over your friend's husband. And then the situation, I think it just solves itself, really. I mean, in terms of her shitty kids, once the dad's out of the picture, you can you could probably just go ahead and haul off and just scream at those kids all you want, and no one's really going to do anything about it. It's a free country, and you have lots of options. That's the important part. In this democracy of ours, we have freedom of choice, freedom of travel, and freedom of shouting at other people's kids. Yeah, I'd do it. I don't know why more people don't.
It's Dan's bad advice column. Fuck yeah. So, Jedi Master Jones, where may we find you?
Our website for the Nerd Bliss Podcast is nerdblisspodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at NerdBlissPod. And we can be found where all good podcasts are found. We're on Stitcher, we're on TuneIn, we're on iTunes, all that good stuff. So just search for us on your podcatcher of choice. That's Nerd Bliss, all one word, by the way.
Sexy Thor, we're on iTunes, right?
Yeah,
we're on iTunes. We're on that Stitcher, right?
Yeah, we're 33% cool.
Well, I want to tell everybody about our iTunes. Like, if they were to go to iTunes, how would they find Thunder Talk?
They would type in Thunder Talk
into iTunes.
And then look for Thunder Talk on iTunes.
Oh wow, for real?
Yeah, the logo says Sexy Thor and Lightning Lads Thunder Talk.
Yeah, I'm seriously blown away right now. I really am. This is no joke, no show, people. Well, what about Stitcher? What would you type into Stitcher?
Nothing yet.
Chris, what's another popular one I'm forgetting? What's another popular
You said TuneIn, which we're not on yet,
catcher.
but we're on Podbean and YouTube.
Yeah, Podbean and YouTube.
That's cool.
If we haven't already invaded YouTube,
yes,
we're talking about that.
Yes, Nerd Bliss is not on YouTube yet, but coming soon.
I see you on Instagram. I'm still not sold on Instagram, by the way. But that's another. I still think it's just a slower. It's like Facebook for kindergartners.
Instagram is its own fan base, man. You know,
maybe I'll edit that out.
You got the Warhammer 40K guys, you got the HeroClix guys.
That's really what it comes down to. Are you for real?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Missy, we'll have a conversation about that later. What else? How else can these good people reach out to you and Nerd Bliss?
Well, we have a call-in line.
What?
You might be familiar with it. The number is very close to yours. It's 864-715-9446. And in case you're wondering, that number goes to Lawrence, South Carolina. Good luck finding us there.
Yeah, everybody. I don't want to sound like an echo, but yeah, if you want to get a hold of the Nerd Bliss or Thunder Talk, that's 864-715-9446. Thanks for letting us use your phone number, dude.
Oh, you're very welcome. Again, I have the invoice. I'm just going to leave it on the table.
Thank you.
That's a big Thunder thank you right there. Yeah. If you want some Thunder call-in, call the phone number, 864-715-9446. I'd like to hear somebody call into the NERDBLISS podcast and say, what's up with this Thunder Talk shit? I mean, I felt one way about you guys, but, I mean, are you really going to tie your brand to that without any kind of, like, consent or control whatsoever?
Short answer, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, we
yes.
are. Fuck yeah, we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're going to do is about 15 minutes into Nerd Bliss, pop over to Thunder Talk, 15 minutes of that, and then bounce 15 minutes back over to Nerd Bliss. It's like syncing up Wizard of Oz with Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, or play them both at the same time and see if they sync up that way.
No, if you play the Nerd Bliss backwards, you get Thunder Talk. Okay? I mean...
Are you saying we've had Thunder Talk all along?
Oh my God!
And it was just in like a subliminal universe.
No, we have Thunder Talk in 180 gram audio file sweet vinyl. Yeah, yeah.
No, what I mean is there are future episodes of Thunder Talk, like issue 65. God, you guys are gonna really want to check that one out.
I'm from the future, bro.
And you can like hear it if you play episode 37 of Nerd Bliss backwards.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. I've seen this. I wouldn't be wasting my time with this shit if I didn't know that we conquered some planet. I'm not going to say Earth, but you know, a moon maybe, but you get the idea.
Right.
You get the idea, right? Yeah, no, it's no moon.
That's no moon.
It's Thunder Talk. This wouldn't be possible without other people who aren't possible without other people. And then you have civilization, and then you have podcasts. Chris, shout outs. Who's holding you up?
Who's holding me up? Well, without a doubt, my lovely and beautiful wife, Tina. She is also one of our co-hosts. In fact, all of our co-hosts on the Nerd Bliss are very near and dear to me. Did I mention Eric was my brother? Eric is our co-host. What? Yeah. And of course, you guys have met Dan. We had Dan on for a Star Wars collectible episode, and he never left because we didn't want him to go.
I was like, how long has the Chinese food been in here? Because if it's like 3 days, you're not going to want to eat it. So I'm going to eat it.
And I got one more. Heath Lane, amazing musician, funny, good friend. Also, Nerd Bliss wouldn't be the same without him. So shout out to Heath.
Shout out to Heath.
And all you. And that's about all I've got. And Takis. Oh, hell, how could I forget? Fuego Takis.
Fuego Takis. Say that 5 times fast. Chris, say Fuego Takis 5 times fast, please.
Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis.
You got to do it again because there was some bleed over.
Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis, Fuego Takis.
All right. No, if y'all can walk into a DMV and say Takis 5 times fast, you get your own podcast. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Love you, mean it.
Bye.
Farewell, my good friends.
For real, thank you for listening very much. Nerd Bliss, Thunder Talk. Somebody go get some spray cans and repeat that somewhere. Or don't. No,
Thunder Talk is a production of the Weirdos Workshop. Starring Sexy Thor and Lightning Lad. Executive producer Dan Flynn. Media director Adam Wetzky. Video editing Anthony Arbizo. Vice President of Gangship Missy H2O Waters. The King and Queen of America Chris and Tina Jones. Lead contributors John Rasmussen of Black Market Coast and Eric Jones of the NERDBLISS podcast. Dan's Bad Advice column is meant for entertainment purposes only. Thunder Talk, the Weirdos Workshop, and its subsidiaries are not liable for anyone who actually takes that advice. If you do, you don't know me, because I sure as hell don't know you.
Be well and drink, fight, and make your ancestors proud.
You don't have to listen to this part unless you want to sue us. All copyrighted material found in Thunder Talk is used under the Fair Use Act and is intended for educational and review purposes. Content referenced: comedian Megan Gailey. Welcome to Atlanta by Jermaine Dupree. All the Way In by Chosen. Red, White, and Black featuring Cash, Spank Lees, and Courtney Nicole. College Humor. Don't Start a Podcast. Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart. Too Fast for Love is still their best album. Family Guy. And various Marvel and Disney materials, Star Wars, and the greater MCU.